You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Looking forward to today's first house call of the weekend. Really excited to be able to answer our community's questions, all things wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging. And if you've submitted a question, just please do keep in mind, it typically takes about 3 weeks for us to make it to your question, just because of the queue that we have of people lined up, and maybe it's 30, 40 questions before yours may get answered. And that's okay, because we will get to those questions as soon as we possibly can each and every Cabral house call. And those are on Saturdays and Sundays on the weekend. And of course, if it's ever urgent, if it isn't meant necessarily for me, if it's for our team, if our team can answer that, meaning like a recommendation for a lab or a recommendation for a nutritional supplement, or you want a little support, you can go to cabralsupportgroup.com and you're welcome to interact with us there. I am there as well. And also for my team, you can just email support@stephencabral.com anytime you need help. We're always happy to help. Now, on the weekends, this is where I get to personally answer your questions. So really excited to get started. And the first question today is from Nikki. He or she is asking, I just want to submit feedback. I listened to your tongue diagnosis and nail diagnosis show. They were very informative. Please continue to post more on those types of topics. Additionally, I'm new to naturopathic medicine and would like to know how I can learn more and make it part of my life as well as share it with others. Are there seminars I can attend or a list of naturopathic doctors that are out there or books that should be read? Thanks so much. Okay, Nikki, really appreciate the feedback. I'm happy that you enjoyed that tongue diagnosis show and the nail diagnosis show. If you haven't listened to those shows, I'll link them up today in the show notes. Just go to stephencabral.com/659. Literally, every time you have a question, just go today. I should say, every time you're looking for a link from today's show, whether it's for a past podcast, a nutritional supplement recommendation, a product recommendation, a lab recommendation, what I'm going to do is simply link those all up today at stephencabral.com/659. So really excited to do that. One thing I just wanted to take one moment and just really express my gratitude. I know people write in and they, like shows, whether it's the tongue diagnosis or nail diagnosis, but we literally just hit 1 million downloads. And it's just something that I just wanted to say thank you for that. I mean, that to me means the world. I'm super excited that, some people resonate with the Motivation and Mindset Mondays, others with Total Wellness Tuesday, Weight Loss Wednesday, Training Thursday, or a Friday review, or maybe like when we answer questions on the weekend. But what I have to say is this, is that we, over the past 18 months or so, have really built this strong online community where people feel like they can reach out to others in our online support group at cabralsupportgroup.com, ask questions in the Cabral house call, knowing that I will give you my absolute unbiased recommendations. And so I just want to take a moment. It's nice to just step back sometimes, even if it's just for, a few seconds, to just say thank you and really appreciate how far this whole movement has come. And honestly, yes, I'm doing the podcast, I'm recording the podcast, I'm getting it out to you. But honestly, it's your feedback, it's your questions, it's everything that you submit to us that really fuels the fire and keeps us going. And so I really, really appreciate it. And that leads me into Nikki's question. That's the reason this came up in the first place, is that this is episode 659. Just by your question, and again, this is not like a bad thing, I can see that you haven't listened to all of the Cabral concepts. So it's my opinion, if you really want to get into naturopathic medicine, well, there are 659 shows on naturopathic medicine. And that right there in and of itself would be the education I was looking for, that I wanted when I was first coming up, that I wasn't exposed to. And then after that, you can say, oh, okay, that topic seems interesting. And then you can start to get deeper into it. Okay, so when you get deeper into it, then you can start to read the books. I've given so many recommendations for books on previous Friday reviews. So go back to the Friday reviews. Those are labeled as FR. I've given books Well, just a quick book. I mean, you could read the Institute of Functional Medicine's textbook. That's a great one to read. So, you feel free to reach out and check that one out. That's just at ifm.org. And while you're at ifm.org, you can also look for health practitioners or functional medicine practitioners in your area. So you can do that. If you ever feel like it's a better fit for you to work with someone close to you rather than with our team, you can do that as well. And again, my job is simply to get you the information. That's it. What you do with the education is up to you. And I know that everyone is their own individual. Everyone's their own person. So for me, I try to disseminate the information over and over and over and in different ways. So you can say, okay, that makes sense now. That clicks. I get it. Okay, I'm ready to move forward. And then you choose the path of how you want to move forward. So hopefully that helps. And you can then look into my Ayurvedic books, and happy to hear, again, the tongue diagnosis and nail diagnosis worked for you. I'm going to be doing a skin and facial diagnosis episode coming up real soon. So definitely check that one out. All right, Anonymous is up next. Anonymous is asking, hi, Dr. Cabral. As always, I'm so appreciative of the work you do and truly admire your dedication to help others. My question is in regards to natural constipation relief. To give you some background, I'm 24, was diagnosed with SIBO a few months ago, sought out some natural treatment with a naturopath and started herbal treatments. However, due to financial restrictions, it temporarily stopped. Wanted to get back onto a diet plan. This seems to bring some relief. I usually have BM's bowel movements every 2 to 3 days. And it can get thrown off, incredibly frustrating. I cheat on my diet. I always try to eat natural foods. I'm off gluten and dairy. I'm experiencing this level of constipation. Tried numerous efforts such as aloe vera, diuretic teas, yoga, essential oils, lots of hot water, exercise, magnesium, citrate, etc. Sometimes these do the trick. However, lately it seems that no matter what I try, I can't seem to get myself back on track. Do you have any other tips for how to overcome a constipation? Thank you so much. Keep up the incredible work. Okay. So Anonymous, we work with people with constipation all the time. Every single constipation case can be rebalanced no matter what. I've never met anybody with constipation that we can't get them to having at least one bowel movement per day, one normal bowel movement per day. So with every purchase, I forget if it's the 14 or 21 day Dr. Ball Detox, comes our constipation relief protocol, not the supplements, but the actual how-to. With the constipation protocol that we sell on our store, it gives you that same constipation protocol as well. I would check those out. If you're going to be using it anyways, why not get the exact protocol that I recommend? I'm going to give you some tips though right now. Okay, so just some tips to get started. Again, can't give medical advice, not giving medical advice. I'm giving you advice on education where you might want to get started, and then that's your choice from there. So 2 to 3 grams every morning of vitamin C upon waking, and you can also do 300 milligrams of magnesium citrate as well with that vitamin C. Okay, so you'll take that in the morning upon waking, and you'll also do the same before bed. Now, if that's not enough just to get the bowels moving naturally with a little vitamin C and a little magnesium, again, I'm not telling you why you have constipation. I'm giving you some natural supplements. If you want to find out why you have constipation, you'll run an organic acids test and a hair tissue mineral analysis test. That's your choice. I know there's some financial restrictions, so that might not be an option right now. Because eventually, if you have SIBO, you have to clear up SIBO. And that's SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And if your intestines are imbalanced in terms of the natural flora, which means the bacteria, well, then there's not going to be a normal peristaltic movement. There's not going to be as much absorption, all of those different things. Okay, let's keep going on though. I would also use 4 capsules of the EVAC after dinner with a nice tall glass of water. Again, this is a part of our constipation protocol. I don't hide anything from anyone. I put my protocols right online. So if you decide to use it through us, with my protocols, you actually get my specific recommendations. Great. If you decide to do it with someone else, totally fine as well. But I'm here to give you the information. Every morning you have to do a smoothie. You have to get more hydration, more water into your body. And you want to do that with a lot of natural plant-based fiber. So you want to download our free smoothie report. It's all there. It's all free online. It really is. So you can download it. You can use our daily nutritional support powder. And again, you have to use a multi. You have to do these things anyway. So that's the easiest and cheapest way to do it. Mix that with at least 1 cup of berries. You might want to put in a little bit of prune juice, like 4 ounces with that. And you would also put in a cup of spinach that can be fresh if you'd like, 16 to 20 ounces of water. If that's still not enough, well, then you could do 2 capsules of Triphala, which is an Ayurvedic natural remedy that we use with our Dr. Ball Detox as well after each meal. That will definitely get you started. That should be enough. If it's not, you have to run lab tests. You have to figure out what's going on, why that wouldn't be enough. Okay, Mary is up next. Mary's asking, thanks, Dr. Ball, for your helpful insight and information for your body, mind, and spirit. I've ordered the telomere test and I'm waiting my results. I enjoyed a 30-minute consult with you for help with my migraines. My daughter is 8 weeks pregnant. I'm wondering if you suggest any testing at this point and what she can do to maximize her health for a baby. She was on prenatal vitamins for some time before getting pregnant, and she had no fertility issues at all. She's 30 years old. My husband and I both have the mutation that doesn't absorb folic acid, so she's gotten prenatal vitamins that have folate, I believe, but looking forward to best recommendations, warmest. Okay, so Mary, I actually answered all of this in depth, so I'm going to link that up instead of going through the whole thing. The podcast is actually entitled, I believe, How to Have a Happy and Healthy Pregnancy, Pre, Peri, and Postnatal Care. So I'll link that up. Just go to stephencabral.com/659. You will get exactly what to do. So again, I'm not going to rehash this, to be honest, because I tell you exactly the type of folate to take. I tell you when to take an omega-3. I tell you what type of omega-3 to take. I tell you when to take iron. I tell you the right type of iron to take. So you just have to check out that show, forward that over to your daughter as well. Looking forward to getting you your results for that telomere test. The telomere test is an amazing test that gives you your biological age, meaning like how fast are you aging from the inside rather than the number of years you've celebrated in birthdays. So we hope that, let's just say you're 45 years old, 50 years old, I want your biological age to be at least a decade less than that. Okay, so for your daughter, what would I recommend any tests? The only tests I would recommend are the hair tissue mineral analysis while pregnant and the omega-3 test while pregnant. And the reason is that there's no sense in running your hormones while pregnant. There's also no sense really in running organic acids tests while pregnant. And the reason is I wouldn't go through a candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol right now. Anyways, I will wait until afterwards. So I would run the hair tissue mineral analysis for your daughter, and I would run the omega-3. The reason is that you want to make sure your daughter has enough minerals, the minerals are balanced, and that she doesn't have a lot of heavy metals. The omega-3, you want to make sure she has enough omega-3s for her and the baby. Now, the last one you could run is your daughter could do the same. She could do a genetic test as well. We'll link everything up in the show notes today, but the first two labs I recommended are the most important because we can work around the genetic MTHFR gene mutation that you spoke about already. Okay, Tegan is up next. Tegan, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think I've hopefully been doing a little bit better at pronouncing names. I had a pretty bad streak there for a while. Tegan or Tegan says, hello, I'm writing in about coffee enemas. I do them about 2 times a week, and I recently have been feeling extremely burpy and bloated and gassy afterwards. Why is this? Should I stop? I did switch the type of coffee from the typical organic coffee you would drink to coffee enema coffee, which is light yellowish greenish when brewed versus classic dark brown. You would think since I'm removing a lot from my system, I'd feel lighter and better. I used to. Now I just feel worse in terms of upper GI symptoms. What could be going on? Thank you. Okay, first things first, I would just switch back your coffee. I know exactly the type of coffee that you're talking about. It's a little bit more caffeinated. It's from a little different type of bean. Personally, I would just switch back to organic black coffee. I mean, that's really it. And I would go obviously with a light roast since it's going to be just a little healthier for you. Yes, it's more caffeinated, but it's less burnt, less cooked, more antioxidants, all that great stuff. So I did a whole show on coffee enemas, and I will link that up for people who don't know what coffee enemas are. What else could be causing the burping and the bloating? Well, one could just be an issue with this type of coffee. That's for sure. One, because you seem to do easier before. I really believe in whatever the simplest explanation is, typically the explanation. You were fine before, you switched coffees, then you started getting these symptoms. It's most likely the coffee grinds that you're using. However, it could also be the actual amount of fluid. So do keep in mind that if you are a little impacted or a little bit distended right now in the intestines, which means you're holding more, you putting more water, more fluid in might not feel that great. So all I'm recommending is this. Next time, simply do, instead of 1,000 mLs of water, if that's what you're using right now, that's what I do recommend. You'll use 500 mLs, pretty easy, right? You'll just do half the amount. Instead of 3 tablespoons of coffee grinds, you'll use half that. So you use 1.5 tablespoons. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I've studied this quite in depth. I studied Dr. Gerson's work for a long time. We'll put it that way. Dr. Gerson owns, or he's passed away now, but his work's still being carried on at the Gerson Institute, and they work with cancer patients. So yes, that should take care of your question, Tegan. Susan's up next. Hi, my daughter suffers from eczema and acne. A friend told me her daughter used the Candida and Bacterial Complete protocol and cleared up her eczema. My question is, will it also clear up my daughter's acne? Thank you for your response, Susan. So, Susan, really happy to hear about your friend. Our Candida and Bacterial Overgrowth protocol is unlike anything else in the world. People write in all the time saying, I tried a Candida protocol already. I tried a SIBO protocol. I've tried a Crohn's. I tried a colitis. I tried this. I tried that. And we say, how is yours different? And we just explain to them exactly how it is, meaning like we remove biofilms first, then we use specific herbal products, then we use specific placeholders in the gut We also work from gentlest the first month to a little stronger to the strongest so that you don't have a lot of die-off. So, I mean, it works amazingly well. I mean, that's the bottom line. We also almost give it to you at cost. Like, we give it to you at a ridiculous price. And the reason is, like, if I can think of, like, what one thing can I do? Well, I mean, I love the Dr. Ball Detox and the daily smoothie, meaning the daily nutritional support. But so many people are suffering from gut-based issues. And I said, what can be my thing to give back? And this is our most popular thing. We have people all over the world use it. People come to us literally from almost every continent, no Antarctica yet, but almost every continent on Earth and many, many countries that use the CBO protocol. It just works. Why does it work? Well, if the issue is a gut-based bacteria, if it's an yeast overgrowth, which is something that causes eczema, and yes, it causes acne, if you never clear that up, then you actually never clear up the underlying root cause. So how do you know if it will work for you? Well, you could just use it. It's very healthy to do. Like, you're not going to get a negative from it because this is natural-based products. But at the same time, you could also run an organic acids test. And you can actually prove for yourself if you have yeast overgrowth or if you have bacterial overgrowth. And if that's the case, well, then you know the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol will work with that. But acne can also, just to let you know though, I just want to give you a couple of other reasons. You might want to run a food sensitivity test because a lot of people with acne, or eczema, I should say eczema as well, both can react to food sensitivities such as, it could be eggs, it could be strawberries, it could be a lot of different things. But also acne and eczema, or acne, I should say more specifically, can be blood sugar issues, inflammation, poor food combining, frying foods, all of those things as well can contribute to acne. My biggest thing is if your daughter's over 17, 18 years old, let's have her do a Dr. Ball detox. Let's have her do 14 days, 21 days if she can. And the reason is if her acne starts to get better within that short period of time, well, then we know what's going on is basically she has something that, and in air quotes, dirty blood, which means that her liver literally is congested with maybe estrogen-based metabolites and all these different things from the environment. And really what she needs is more liver-based support to help clean up that blood so that the blood is not pushing its bacteria and toxins through the skin, which is another really good reason why people get acne. So hopefully that helps. Acne always has a reason. Sometimes it's a little stubborn, specifically very stubborn when it does come to hormones as well. All right, Erica is up next. Erica writes in, I've read that Manuka honey is a better antibiotic than prescription drugs. Manuka honey is antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, antiparasitic. So says Dr. Google. I'm battling candida, SIBO, intestinal worms, H. pylori, you name it. Can I take a teaspoon of this every morning? I have so far and feeling great, but not sure if it's helping or hurting me. I know it is sugar, but since it has so many benefits, the sugar in it isn't the same as your evil white sugar. Thanks in advance for your help. Okay, so Erica, a couple things. Love Manuka honey. I totally agree that it is a natural antibiotic, antiseptic, all of those things. And they're actually using it in hospitals right now. So we know conventional medicine's a little slow to catch on. We all know that. But eventually they do catch up with a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about for thousands of years. You know, now they're using it in hospitals. And fortunately, they're using it with people, burn victims and people like that to help cuts and burns and all those things heal a lot faster. And of course, you can look that up yourself as well. The reason I don't use honey, and that includes Manuka honey, in the beginning of a SIBO or Candida protocol is because it's also a great prebiotic. Now, I know the sugar is obviously much healthier because it's coming from nature and it is a much healthier one, but it's still high, or I should say higher than a 50-50 fructose to glucose ratio, which means it will feed SIBO, small intestinal bacteria, and it will also feed Candida. So when do I use it? Well, I introduce it maybe after about 6 to 8 weeks on that protocol. So initially I remove it after, of course, being on the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. So is Manuka honey stronger than our Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol? No, I mean, that's kind of insane. I mean, that would be crazy to say it's a biofilm disruptor, plus it's the same as oregano oil, plus it's the same as caprylic acid, plus it's the same as Paudarco and black walnut and all these proteases. And then it also is Saccharomyces boulardii and all these, L-acidophilus. It's not. So meaning like Dr. Google went a little too far for what you found. Is it better than all these natural-based treatments as well? It's one thing. It's kind of like Manuka honey is phenomenal. Again, everything is phenomenal, right? Oregano is phenomenal, but nothing is a silver bullet. So what I like to say is first we eliminate and then we start to re-inoculate. So after we eliminate, we remove a lot of that Candida and bacterial overgrowth, then we re-inoculate or inoculate just by putting some good honey in there too, and that acts as a prebiotic. So as we start introducing our probiotics, then we can actually start to use Manuka honey to help them flourish and grow. I mean, hopefully this makes sense because again, honey can aggravate histamine. So it's like, you always ask, like, who is it best for? But I'll tell you right now, I do use raw honey. I use a little Manuka honey or raw honey. And I use it every morning when I do have my greens putter in the morning, my daily fruit and vegetable blend. I mix a little bit of raw honey in there, just about a teaspoon, no more than that. And I do a little sea salt and I do a little lemon or lime in that water with my greens. And that's like my refreshing, alkalizing, wake up, start the day, hydrate my body. And I enjoy it. But again, in the past, couldn't do it, but now I can. So let's see if we can get one more in today. Okay, one more from Erin. Erin is asking, hey, Dr. Cabral, for the past 6 years, I've been getting acupuncture. And it's helped tremendously, mostly to regulate my cycle, back pain, and digestive issues that come up periodically. I asked my acupuncturist during my last visit about doing a juice fast for one day. I asked her because I deal with a lot of bloating, usually go to my FODMAP diet and helps, but adding back in some of the foods seems to be fine, but eventually my bloating comes back or I get stomach cramps. She said because fall and winter is yin, it would be a good idea and wouldn't be a good idea and mess with my hormones. She recommended to try intermittent fasting up to 12 to 14 hours for my last meal and eat smaller meals that are easy to digest, cook. Dosha-wise, I'm always a combo of Vata Pitta. I'm overall plant-based, vegetarian, non-dairy. Very rarely I eat soy and only gluten on occasion. Okay, what are your thoughts? Thank you for your time. What are my thoughts? Okay, so my thoughts are acupuncture is fantastic, especially for nervous system-based regulation, some hormone, absolutely great. Will acupuncture eliminate SIBO? I have not seen that, nor have I ever seen it in the literature, but it does help balance the immune system. It does help balance the nervous system. I remember I was in China in a traditional Chinese hospital, got to see, exactly how things work and got to see what they prescribe it for. And then just keep in mind, like acupuncture was used for pretty much everybody, but then they also gave herbs as well. I mean, you want to just use the best of everything. So I agree with everything that your acupuncturist said that sure, don't want to do a juice during the winter because it's more of a yin and that can be, more of a constricting and those types of things. But just keep in mind that all you have to do is add heat to that juice and you would be okay. So like, again, smoothies in the winter, I love adding ginger. And you could do the same for a juice cleanse if you wanted to for the day. So, I mean, it's not that you can't do it. I do agree with your acupuncturist, but it's just one day. And so, you add a little cayenne if you want to juice. Add a little bit of ginger to your juice. Like that would spice it up. That would add some heat to it. And that would be the opposite of the yin, which would be the yang or the yang. And so that would be totally fine. So, well, the reason your bloating keeps coming back as well is because you're never getting the underlying root cause. You can't just follow an anti-candida diet. That just doesn't work. It's always been prescribed, but it's never worked. So, well, it works for people who just stay on that diet for the rest of their life, but that's not a lot of fun. And actually prebiotic foods such as broccoli in a larger amount, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, those things are healthy for you. You should be able to eat them eventually. So onions, eventually you want to be able to eat them. So you really have to get to underlying root cause. You can do two things. One is you can run the organic acids test to show your yeast, to show your candida bacterial overgrowth, or just start the candida bacterial overgrowth protocol, so the CBO protocol, and just get your digestion back on track. It takes 12 weeks maximum. Then you seal up the gut after that, and you're good to go. You start to reintroduce the non-FODMAP foods, as you call them. After about 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, you start to add them back in slowly. You start to ramp up the actual volume or actual amount, meaning like you can go from a half a cup of something, then to a 3/4 cup, and then maybe a full cup. And all of it should be gone because we're basically eliminating and then rebuilding the gut. We're rebuilding it from the ground up. So that's exactly how all of this works. And that choice is yours. It's always yours. Maybe now's not the right time. I understand that. I understand that not everyone's ready to get started today. Not my job to push you. It's really not. It's my job to simply maybe steer you in the right direction. You don't even have to believe me the first time around. That's totally fine as well. Believe me, I'm the biggest skeptic in the world, right? I had to travel all over the world to find my answers. I'm hoping that you don't have to do the same. I'm hoping that I was able to do the work for you. But when you're ready, I understand and I know what's holding you back. And that's because what happens is you stop giving your candida and bacteria the food that it wants to thrive. But eventually you start to add it back in and then it just comes right back because you never really took it down to a very low level and then you never repopulated with the healthy bacteria at the same time. That's the reason why. So Erin, hopefully that helps. Thank you everyone for tuning into another Cabral House Call. Appreciate each and every one of your listens. Hope this show was helpful. Feel free to pass it along if it was. And remember to tune back tomorrow on part 2 of our Cabral House Calls where we answer more of our community's questions. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.